Hey everyone, Old School Pokemon here, back again with, I think this is episode number 5 of our podcast. We're joined by my co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan, and tonight we have a very special guest, ZandGEmporium himself. Thank you for joining us, James. How are you doing tonight?
Good, good. Yeah, I think I invited myself. I think I commented on your video. Like, so when can I join these? So yeah, I'm excited to join. It's fun to be with I've been on other podcasts with Pokenomics and Pokenet and other people that you know, they're not really big buyers and sellers, So it's kind of fun to be on a podcast with two guys who definitely do a whole lot of buying and selling. It's kind of a different take on the different war stories, right?
Business oriented, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, excited to be here, answer some questions.
Yeah, exactly. And how are you doing tonight, Dan?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to the chat tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Should be good. So we'll start off with the questions from last or 2 weeks ago episode number 4. And as per usual, if you guys have any questions or topics that you'd like us to discuss, leave them below in the comments and we'll try and get to them in the next episode, which if we stick to this schedule will be every 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes. So far so good. But first question comes from Dan's YouTube. Or do you want to read this question?
Yeah, I can take this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maurice asked, when you first are making an eBay or other online store and trying to sell Pokemon product, how important is advertising? What kind of advertising / getting your names out there have you guys done? I don't know if you want to take the lead on this one, Nick.
Yeah, sure. So I actually just recorded a video on setting up my new eBay account. James, I don't know if you heard in our last podcast, but I talked about how I was going to create a new eBay account, and I'm going to do a few videos copying you about selling general stuff that I find at flea markets and everything. But one thing I mentioned within that video was how starting out on eBay, it's actually really tough to gain traction and gain those sales. A lot tougher than I remember. Now that I have an established account, it's a lot easier because I have that kind of following. But for someone who is kind of just starting out or kind of has a small reputation, I think the biggest thing is to have good customer service, competitive pricing with everyone else on eBay. And then in terms of like advertising, I used to use the promoted listing tool a lot, where you select a percentage, an additional percentage in beyond that 10% that eBay takes, and eBay will promote that listing for you. I've had good luck with that, as well as the sales manager, putting sales on your items, so like 10% off, 15% off, or whatever. And then something that I still use to this day is sending people best offers. eBay allows you the option to actually send best offers out to people without them making making an offer on your item. I have a lot of good luck with that. That's helped me a lot. I usually do that every other week, and there's a noticeable increase in sales from that.
Yeah, that's good. I think if you're going new on eBay, I think it's a couple things you want to. It just depends on kind of what your model is. If you're looking to, like, a lot of my model is just you get the cost basis low enough where then when you get your graded cards or whatever you're selling on there, if it's raw, then I'm just the lowest price on eBay. So that's kind of an advertisement in and of itself, just because people want the cheapest thing usually. Even if you have 10 of the same thing, well, I'm just gonna buy the cheapest thing, and that can really kind of build that. You can also be someone who, when I first started, I had zero whatever they're called, stars, or, those little feedback things. I would just put auctions, which you're going to force people to buy them, right? You might be lower. You can kind of learn that not everybody pays for their auction, which that's kind of a lesson. You learn a lot of lessons on eBay, and then you can kind of build your feedback that way. I've tried the sponsored things. It's never really helped me that much. Maybe I didn't bump up the percentage, whatever it is, to get more eyeballs on that one. Really never helped me that much. But if you're looking just to kind of get started, I'd say if you're not the lowest price, then you better have some items that don't have much competition. If I'm looking to sell a base set unlimited Charmander, you're going to have 100 of them on there. But if you have some kind of PSA 10 that only has 2 of them, maybe you can list it for around that price and sell it. I'd say a good thing too is that I need to get better at is that also, which will help your advertising, is just really good pictures. I think you can get a really cheap picture box or whatever, have a white background, and those just pop out. Even if it's a little bit more expensive, you're scrolling through, that's the one that catches your eye, for the most part, and you'll click on it. And a lot of times, especially with graded cards, you want to expect it, and it's better with those higher quality pictures, and that can kind of be a level of advertising. On top of that, you can also start to build social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, these kind of other things that will filter kind of into that eBay account and bring other eyeballs that might not be on eBay at that time. So that would kind of be my answer to kind of advertise for yourself.
Yeah, I would echo all of what was just said pretty much, just to add something different that I don't think was touched on, and it's something that I actually violate. I ship once a week right now. I do this on the side. Having a next day or same day handling time helps your listing. Having free shipping helps your listing, like search results. So low price, ensuring your title's good, you're listed in the right category, as James mentioned, good pictures. One thing, if you want to compare an eBay business to like another kind of business, say you were going to open a restaurant or you're going to open some kind of a dog walking business, I think those type of things you need to do substantially more to advertise, to get customers. Whereas eBay, the bar is fairly low as far as you're put out to millions of potential buyers. I mean, limited by what you're actually selling, how many people are searching it, but it's a fairly low bar in that if your price is good, and if you've got the same price as me and you're doing next day handling time, even though I've got a lot of sales, I think the way eBay's algorithm works, I think you're going to be ahead of me because I've got the 5-day handling time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I used to do that, like, because you got that, I think at the time, 10% like rebate on your fee if you were super, what is that, top seller or super or whatever it's called.
Top rated.
top rated.
Yeah, you did that
Used to
next
be
day.
power seller.
That was too much. It wasn't worth for me the 10% reduction in fee. But I think you're right. I think it does list it a little higher.
I have the ability to get that, but I don't have the time to capture that. And you actually also have to offer 30-day returns. So you need to accept returns for like no reason.
Right.
So
yeah.
And it's eBay, so they can still hit you with the item not as described or whatever. But if you accept returns for any reason, then they don't even have to do that. They can just, price goes down, they open a return 29 days later.
Yeah. And the shipping, that makes sense. I never, at the first, for some reason, I was like, oh, I'll do it. The charging shipping. I'm not sure if you guys charge shipping, but I never do. I didn't really, I understood at the time. It was like, oh, I'll charge $27 plus $3 shipping because it cost me $3 to do a flat rate. It's like, well, just do $30 because
exactly.
will buy a $30 item versus 27 shipping. They just don't like paying shipping, even though it's the same. So it doesn't hurt you at all. So yeah.
Yeah, no, people hate having to pay for shipping. And quick note on top rated seller. I'll become a top rated seller May 21st.
There you go. All right.
Thanks to the standard envelope with tracking.
Oh yeah.
Finally get my top rated seller back.
I still don't know how you do your business. I've told you this for like years. I'm like, how do you sell these $1, $2, $5 cards, just thousands and thousands? Like, it's so much freaking work.
It's a lot of work there.
And Nick has some interesting videos breaking down the economics of that too, where if you sell a single 99-cent single, you actually lose money.
Yeah.
He counts on selling multiple at a time, which frequently does happen, but that's yeah.
Yeah,
I
Dan,
did that game a few years ago. I don't think I ever went under $1.19 with anything because I didn't want to lose money, but that was like a break even.
Yep. Yeah, Dan finally taught me how to use Excel, so I got another video coming out soon, which will kind of give it'll be a better video than my old video on how I sell 99-cent cards. So that'll be a good one. I'll give like a whole breakdown of everything I sold in May and how what kind of percentages are below. I used $4.99 and what percentages are above $4.99, and it basically comes down to volume. How much volume you're doing.
You need to put in Excel like how much time each day you spend shipping. Like
I wouldn't want to do that.
It must be nuts. Yeah. I mean, I did like a box break a few months ago. I think Dan, you might have been in it for the Team Rocket first edition, and that was 36 packs and probably, I don't know, 20 packages because people bought multiple packs, and that took me hours, to like just 20 boxes, put in boxes and it's like, man, I mean, it's crazy.
But on that more expensive stuff, you're spending a lot more time making sure it's packaged well and bust out the white gloves.
Yeah.
Where with these, it's just tossing it into an envelope, sealing it shut.
Yeah, but
you get a nice little system down.
You better. Yeah. Good Lord.
I've got some nice employees I utilize at Troll and Toad for shipping all my cheap singles.
Yeah. There you go.
No, I gotta. I've always wanted to have, like back in the day when I was first starting out on eBay, my goal was always to have as big of an eBay store as Rusty did back when he was selling all the singles. So I think his max listings was right around 9,000. So at one point I'll get up there.
Yeah, Rusty said peace out to that too. He's like just doing PSA and packs and stuff. Yeah, he understood. Yeah, you'll get there one day. Grinding. Yeah,
exactly. Well, so our next question is kind of similar to what Marie asked, but if you guys have any other input, I think we pretty much talked about everything here. But Pokemon, I always call him. I know I'm on Instagram. I always just call him Pokemon Hunter, but it's actually Poke HVNTR. Growing your platform, or he sent a longer message, but his question was basically ways to grow your platform and things you'd recommend to drive engagement and activity to your selling platforms. Maybe some do's, don'ts of things to moving slowly, or like talking about different marketing effects like volume pricing, promoted listings, all that stuff. I think we covered most of that already.
And I think James really touched on the having everything funnel in to your eBay. I mean, have the YouTube, have the Instagram, Facebook, have everything linked across each platform. I think eBay has the promoted listings you can do. You can set a percentage of how much you want to pay additional fees to get the thing out in front of more people. Instagram has promoted listings if you have a business Instagram.
Yeah.
I've dabbled in a little bit of each, and I'm not consistently doing any of them still, because kind of like James said too, it didn't feel like it was doing anything substantial. But I mean, give it a try. You can always throw $20 on an Instagram post and see if it is reaching more than your prior ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the YouTube and YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff's actually a lot more important than what I used to think. I used to not think that it was very important to have a presence on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Although I don't use Facebook very much at all. But I've learned since I got on Facebook or YouTube and Instagram that there's a lot of people that reach out directly through email from one of my videos, or that find something on eBay and then reach out through Instagram to purchase that item off of eBay. So I think it definitely gives you an increase in sales having
Yeah,
those additional outlets.
for
And
sure.
and one thing to add that I only recently did, but I got business cards now. So every time I sell
Nice.
something on eBay, I'm gonna pop that in there. Maybe that'll get me some more Instagram followers or YouTube subscribers. At the least, it'll get my email address in the hands of my customers, and maybe it'll drive some off-platform sales, or maybe it'll down the line they'll have my card when 2 years later they decide they want to sell out of stuff, and maybe they'll come back to me to sell things back to me.
Yeah, I'd say that's the best. Yeah, especially with your platform, not only Instagram or YouTube. YouTube is nice because people see your face and they can like kind of feel like they know you, which they can reach out to you by collections, which is really nice. Like I've like most of my collections the past couple of years have just been people just email me randomly and say, hey, do you want to buy this? Which means you eliminate all competition of just listing on eBay. But driving the sales, yeah, that is a good thing with because people they can buy it off eBay, they can get it 10% off, and that doesn't cost you anything. Plus, they don't have to pay the eBay sales tax that's right there, which that's so it's like kind of like a win-win, versus just going off on the platform. So that can definitely, definitely increase your sales there. But yeah, that's a good idea on the business cards too. I never did that, but I did just starting the YouTube channel when I had like one subscriber. It was just my wife. I used to every time someone bought something on eBay, and I asked eBay, and I had to get through like 3 levels of eBay because they just hadn't heard of it before. And I finally got the okay to do it. Is like anytime someone bought something off me, I'd say, hey, if you want to see it, because I used to do sales videos, hey, so here's what I sold. Like once they bought it, I could send them a link to the YouTube and say, hey, you can watch this to see what your sale. So my first like 80 subscribers were all people that I just, after they bought something, I would send them a link and they just subscribe after that. And then I think you got a few, return sales, and then it kind of just grew from there. But yeah, definitely can help. Just the more you put out there, the more you shoot out in the dark, no matter what it is, you can, there'll be somebody that'll find it. But
Exactly. Yeah, you blew up real quick because we started you started YouTube about a month before I did. Because I
oh
remember
yeah,
I remember talking to you about wanting to start it when just right when you started on YouTube, and I think I started like a month or two after you, and you're obviously a lot bigger on there now.
yeah. There were some people that started right around me too that got that blew up a lot bigger. I remember like PokeRev started like a couple months after me, and I like saw his videos, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna be way bigger than me. You can just tell the ones that kind of pop up that just know what they're doing, know how to market, know how to be a entertainer or helpful or whatnot. Like Pat Flynn has some channel that's like, okay, he knows he knows editing, and he's a really good storyteller. You can tell that was gonna explode too, and I think he's just gone way up too. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been very, very helpful no matter what if you're just I mean, there are guys who are just on Instagram, right? And they have tens of thousands of followers, right? And they're just really good at Instagram. And I'm sure they get a ton of business and referrals just through there, So I think the more platforms you do, the one you'll find one that you really like and really are good at, and then you just kind of go, from there. Because I'm not very good at Instagram, but and I'm barely passable at YouTube, but it's you'll find it, and it'll definitely bring in some kind of sales or inventory that you can, sell in the future.
Yeah.
So next question is from Nick H. And he asks, could you go over the process of sending cards and selling cards with PWCC, and what cards are worth sending to them? I'll let one of you start with that one because I've actually never submitted into PWCC myself.
Yeah, I think Dan might have to see that, because I actually just recently sent to the vault, but I've never actually sent something to be like
The monthly
auctioned
auctions.
off, or yeah.
So I mentioned in an earlier podcast and maybe in one of my other videos too, but March of this year was the best time to send everything. They had the 3 free promo, so that got you in the door into the vault for free, lifetime free storage fees. I sent my entire graded card inventory at the time. Before that, and I had plans every month to send 10 to 20 cards per auction. It's a fairly basic, can you go over the process for sending cards? So the process for sending them, go to PWCC's website, create an account. There's a big button to submit to auction. Basically, you tell them how many cards you're sending, a brief description of what you're sending, and an estimated value. If it's a substantial value and you're worried about it, you can reach out to them, and they'll actually, at their cost, they'll send you a prepaid label to insure the cards under their blanket insurance that they have. And I submitted 700 cards in March. One of them was a 400 card shipment that I had insured for 6 figures. I mean, decently into the 6 figures, and it was like a $200-$300 label. I mean, it was very reasonably priced for what I was getting. It was a 50-pound box. So as far as getting the cards to them, go to their website. It's a fairly basic thing. And then what cards are worth sending them? It all depends on, I think the market ebbs and flows, and at least the people on E4, their opinion over the past year or two, certain times you'd talk to people and you'd say PWCC always achieves the best prices. And then you get the periods where, oh, never auction with PWCC because they get terrible prices. So you've got to do your own evaluation on that. Check out recently sold listings. There's no like single answer for what's the best to send to them. You just gotta, I mean, say you're somebody who's never sold a card more than $100, and say you've got a PSA 9 first edition Charizard or a PSA 8. Say you've got a card that's well into the 5 figures that you're just uncomfortable selling due to the risks of a scam buyer or some kind of an issue. That's a great kind of card to sell with them, because you remove a lot of the potential liability and issues that you can run into. But you do pay some amount of a premium for that, because their fees don't cap. They have an 8% fee on items over $5,000, and that's uncapped.
Right.
But kind of a long-winded answer and not a really direct one, but I think that's what I've got for that question.
Yeah, and I'd say it's pretty. The only thing I'd add is I sent a couple things to the vault. I didn't do the free vault like an idiot, but but if you have any questions, there's a little like chat button. They're really easy. You just click the chat, and I'm sure you can just ask them any questions, and they're pretty. They'll answer whatever you want there. So
That's a really good point. Always do the chat, don't email or call, because when you do the chat, they'll send you an email summary afterwards anyways.
Mhm.
And they're quite responsive, relatively speaking, with the chat over email.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the only thing I would add, or kind of echo what Dan said there, was if you're someone with a new eBay account or someone who doesn't sell a lot on eBay, I think anything that's higher end, maybe like over $1,000 or so, would be a viable option for PWCC. So I don't think I know, me personally, I never buy from new eBay users, even if it seems like a good deal or whatever. I just anyone who doesn't have the DSR star ratings, which requires you to have 10 sales on eBay. I'll just completely avoid those people.
Oh,
So
really?
You're
has
missing out. You're missing out on deals there, Nick. You're missing
I've
out
had
on deals.
I've had some great deals from Zero
Yeah,
Feedback.
I have too. Yeah.
that's why, because I don't touch those listings at all.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
way too scared.
If it's Zero Feedback and it's foreign, then I don't touch it. If it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
from
yeah.
France or something, but if it's, I'll take a look at it if it's domestic, because I know there are those whatever they're called, the tracking scams in the foreign countries, but yeah, you're missing out. You're missing
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, if it's a too good to be true, 10% of market value, Zero Feedback, don't go for that, foreign or domestic. But if it's bad photos and it's a mixed WotC collection, like somebody literally just came from their attic with a tote. I mean, I've bought some really nice collections from Zero Feedback by our sellers, half price of what it would be otherwise if it was properly photographed and listed with a high feedback seller. And so, yeah, I don't write them off completely for sure.
No, I bought from two low feedback people, and both people turned out to be a scam. So ever since then, I gave up.
Yeah, I've been scammed from low feedback too, but I keep coming back. Apparently.
Hey, if it's a good deal, I guess you can't resist there.
Yeah, there are. Seems to be the booster boxes, first edition WotC boxes. There are a lot of scams on that. They're like $300 for Jungle first edition.
Yeah.
A whole lot of that. There seems to be a whole lot. Like I was trying to find. What was I trying to find? Like the price of a first edition base Charizard something, and I just put first edition base, and there was like it took me. I had to scroll through like 4 pages to actually get to sale, and they're like all proxies. They're all fakes. I mean, there are just so many of those now. I didn't have any idea, but yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
There's all the base unlimited boxes that are popping up now. That
the fake ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram guy who's making all those fake boxes.
Yeah.
Those
And the
are
fake
popping up everywhere now.
Yeah, I think I saw that somebody posted that he's going to be making Neo Genesis next fake boxes. So yeah, and then doing the fake PSA slabs now that, if you didn't know any better, then they look pretty close, if you hadn't held one. So yeah.
Yeah, hopefully Pokemon stops that at some point. I don't think they ever will, but
Yeah.
it's wishful thinking. But anyway, our next question is from Z, not you, James. Asks, can you go into detail on the new tax law taking effect? Selling mostly off eBay and PayPal. Will this also include friends and family? One of you want to start us off there?
This has to do with the new $600 reporting threshold?
Yeah.
So as far as just to before we get into any of this, none of us are tax professionals, and always consult someone in your locality for anything with regards to tax. But no tax laws have changed. The only thing that has changed is the threshold where PayPal will report. You've always had a duty legally to report any sales you've made with profit on eBay and or PayPal. So I believe, as far as I understand, starting in 2022, $600 of PayPal transactions that will automatically do the 1099, whereas it used to be 200 transactions and $20,000. Except for Nick, you're in Massachusetts, and you've had the pleasure of having the $600 reporting limit for some time now.
Oh yeah, lucky
But as far as will it include friends and family, I know that in past years, friends and family has never been reported on 1099s. I don't believe they still will be in the future. but that gets into a whole different can of worms on, I mean, you're violating PayPal's terms of service, and I've heard of a lot of accounts being suspended and people being banned from PayPal over that. So you're free to do whatever you want to do, but I mean, knowing what you're getting involved in, you should always be aware of the implications.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah, that's about that about answers it. I mean, it's, yeah, you should be reporting. You should have been reporting it anyway. There are a lot of people that try to, I'll accept PayPal because friends and family, because they won't report it, and it's like, well, they won't report it, but you should still report it. But yeah, if yeah, you just need to just every transaction should be like on Excel spreadsheet at minimum, or you know, you can get QuickBooks or some other thing where you can record it, but you should for every transaction have cost basis, what you sold it for, you know, all the fees associated with PayPal, eBay, shipping fees, and then your total profit that you you know, you'll report to the IRS, you know, to pay off them. So like you said, it really doesn't, nothing changed. It's just the IRS now knows what you've been doing above that threshold. So no, they'll come after you. They'll make an example out of you. So don't you know, don't skimp.
Just you pretty much hit everything, but just one thing I've been seeing a lot, because I'm like part of a bunch of reselling groups on Facebook, and this is a wicked hot topic right now of everyone complaining about the new tax law and having to file taxes and all that. The biggest misconception, I guess, that people have is you're paying taxes on what that 1099 shows, and that is not the truth at all whatsoever. The 1099 that you get is basically useless. All that's showing is your total sales that have gone through eBay, PayPal, whatever. After you get that sales figure, then you can do all of your deductions. So your eBay fees, your PayPal fees, your shipping costs, your cost of goods. There's so many deductions, and you're only paying taxes on your profit. You're not paying taxes on the total sale price. It's just your profit margin. So
Yeah,
it's not as bad as people think.
yeah, the 1099 will just be your gross number. But that's, I touched on one of our prior podcasts where my first year of getting a 1099, I didn't have any of that figured out. I was selling coins at the time back in 2012. I still remember getting hit with a 6-figure 1099 gross number with very little, if any, records of any of it. And luckily, I mean, eBay and PayPal retains all that, so I just had to dive back in and pay an accountant a bunch of money to figure it all out. But
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And then one quick question here from Celebi Collectibles. He wrote something. It was a longer question, but the gist of his question was, do you guys know how cert numbers work with PSA? Like how they determine which card gets which number? I personally have, it's a complete mystery to me, because like you think you figure it out at one point, like when they were in the 2 million certs, you think you figure it out. It just goes like chronologically from what they receive. Maybe sports cards are set to a certain range within 2 million, and then Pokemon set to another range within 2 million. But then when we got to what we thought was going to be 3 million, it jumped all the way up to 4 million. So I stopped asking myself how they give cards a certain number.
And just given the nature of the size of their backlog currently, like I have a card right here that I got back recently that's a 54 million cert. And I have cards, as far as I understand, I think once it goes into the grading stage, like if I log into my account right now, I have some orders that are either in the grading stage or the QA stage. I don't have the grades yet, but I have a cert number assigned. So even though I have a 54 cert here, there are some cards that I don't even have back yet that are 49 certs and 51 certs. So you're not necessarily going to get cert numbers in a chronological order just due to the sheer size of a 10 million card backlog or whatever it is at PSA.
Yeah. I have no real clue. I have this graded gem submission I have it all ready to ship out, but yeah, these are all 49 million cert numbers. This was, I think, in August 2020 submission. Yeah, I don't know when they actually plop that on, if it's like you said, if it's grading stage, or if it's like when they actually do research and ID and they slap the little label that just says what each card is, and then they research. I'm not too sure. I guess would the best answer to that would have to be like, look at what the cert number of a Super Express or an Express is, just see if, does it skip, the line, or does it go back to whatever that is. But yeah, I'm not really, there was a time when it like skipped, it was like the 20 millions, and then there were very few 30 millions, and then it went to 40 millions really quick. I don't really know what happened to those 30 millions, what happened there, but.
And I think there's a small amount of sports cards out there that are in the 50s or 90 millions that have been out there for some amount of time. Like I think they bounce around. I don't know the exact. I don't think they know the exact method to their madness.
I'm guessing it's like, because I used to work at like a home builder, and for each community they'd have kind of like the same. They'd have a cert number for each home number, and they grouped so many communities where they kind of ran out of numbers, and they had to go they had to skip, like this city had this certain number, so they had to skip and go to. So I'm guessing it's kind of the same thing where they had a plan in mind when they first started, 0 to whatever, and then all of a sudden they had so many, and it kind of got to the point where they had to start skipping and going back and forth. So who knows? There's a lot of things about PSA that are mysteries out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to get like a behind the scenes of PSA.
I was just about to say, I wonder if they do like
find out about all these mysteries.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wonder if they do like tours or anything.
I heard I was on with Pokegal a while back, and she lives right next to PSA's headquarters, and we were talking about PSA, and she was actually saying their headquarters is not as nice as what you'd imagine. It's like a semi rundown warehouse looking building. She said you'd never know it was PSA if you drove right by it.
I remember years ago, I don't know if either of you remember this, but PSA actually posted a picture to their Instagram of a card in the grading process they were holding a metal ruler against, and they posted that on their Instagram, and immediately they got so much flack, like, oh, that's where the indent came from on my card, is that a metal ruler, like so many. And I think they deleted that. They might still have a really old school like 90s vibe video on their YouTube. But I actually posted recently to E4. SGC Grading actually gave a really detailed walkthrough to some sports card YouTube guy. And I thought that was really interesting. I mean, they showed you what did they call it? They called it some kind of a document forensic scanner or whatever that they use to really kind of like what CGC does in their articles, where they show really in-depth scans under UV and different lighting. And they actually showed up close their sonic welder, their sealing machine. And I mean, visible was the model number, and you could Google it and pull up the company where they sell those. And I don't ever see PSA divulging any of that really behind the scenes stuff personally, but it was really interesting to see SGC's.
Yeah, I'll have to check that video out. I'd be curious to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if PSA is like they're a little more archaic and manual than people really they want to admit. Behind the scenes, it's whole lot of graders just kind of, it's not really maybe that's why they bought the AI or whatever it was, the Genament to try to stuff, because they're like, wow, it's kind of behind here. Maybe that's why that they put that Instagram photo and they're like, okay, well, let's just not let anybody see this. But yeah.
In some of the things, like the ruler thing was shocking to me, but some things you can't win. Like you could put up a video of just someone holding a card, and you're going to have some amount of people, oh my God, I can't believe he doesn't have gloves on. Oh my God, I can't believe he does have gloves on. Why is he not in a hazmat suit? Why is this not a clean room? Like,
Yeah.
you're always you just subject yourself to, you're going to get criticism from some angle, no matter what you do.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, if you just walk into a room of 100 people, probably 20 people are just going to hate you. Like, oh, he has glasses, he's short, he's bald, I don't like the way he sounds. They're just going to people that, I'm surprised more YouTube videos don't have, like 70-30 ratio of, don't like you, just because, they're just people that don't really like it out there. But yeah, you're right. I think I've seen that Instagram post and or whatever it was with the ruler and whatnot. And like I said, I've said this before, like all these graders. I mean, you've seen interviews. I've seen interviews with graders at CGC. I think I've seen Beckett. Not sure if I've seen it. I think I've heard, or at least some PSA. And these people aren't wizards. They're not like Lord of the Rings Gandalf. They're just people. It's just like any other job. I mean, like I used to work as an accountant. I mean, there are accountants that are bad, and there are accountants that are okay, and there are accountants that really are good. I mean, they're just like any other job. I mean, so to think that, all these people are just like these, 80-year-old wise men, just they've been doing this forever. I mean, they're just probably a lot of them are kids, and a lot, not kids, but 20s, and so that's probably why too, because there's this mystique behind a lot of these grading, PSA and companies, where it's like, oh, this is the grade I'd exactly get. And I think they probably want to keep that kind of behind closed doors too, because they're just people. So like any other job, But.
So the last question we got for this week, I think could probably talk about this one for quite some time here. But Daniel C asks, do you think buyers will accept most slab prices going up $10 to $15? And there he's talking about the price increases with PSA and CGC. Or do you think they'll remain stubborn and only pull the trigger for prices they currently associate with the slabs?
I just think, well, there's just so much in the backlog that people got for the old prices that I just don't think that's going to happen for a long time, if ever. And those price increases, by the time people actually get to the point where they paid a lot, I mean, the card is going to be much different in value anyway. So I don't really think that's going to really, it's not like everybody all of a sudden, all your cards go up $10 to $50. He's like, oh, well, the grading fee, well, I mean, just probably us three here, we have probably, 5 to 10,000 plus. That was probably at older, prices. And there are people that have sent in tens of thousands, and middlemen like Greta Gym and, other ones have sent in, that the old, even lower prices, because the middleman get a slightly reduced rate with the amount of volume. So yeah, I think that's not really something that, it's really not I don't really think that's a seller. And really, like, I'm a seller. I'm just, if you list something for, and I think a lot of people have this business model who are buying and selling. If you list something for $150, I'm listing it for $145. I don't really care, because my cost basis is what it is, down there. So
yeah.
I think I don't think we'll see a dramatic $10 to $15 price increase across the board on everything. But I think pricing will. I think it'll just follow the same trends that it's been following the past couple months. Going to continue to see prices decline and then hopefully steady out somewhere. But the thing you got to keep into consideration though is even with these new costs for grading. So PSA is they're once they hopefully once they reopen, they're going to be $20 per card for the bulk submissions. PSA, I keep thinking PSA 9 WotC first edition commons and uncommons are selling for $50. Even if those go down to $20, $25, you're still breaking even on a PSA 9, which to me is pretty unbelievable. Back when pricing was bulk pricing was $10 per card, PSA 9s were ten to $12 per card back then. So I think we're just going to see a continuing trend with that where PSA 9s will be like a break even or a very slight profit. 8s will be a loss, and then 10s will be where you make your good margins.
Yeah, I think that I just think, yeah, I just think that their grading for PSA is just it just is harder than it once was. So maybe I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, it should be. I think PSA 8 might be more of a break even with these new grades, and PSA 9 is just kind of that. It's, I mean, for the hollows at least. I mean, I
For
still
the
think
hollows,
it's, I think
definitely.
it's, yeah, I think it's always think it's pretty easy to grade the non hollows, but yeah, it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
my mind is so focused on non hollows. I was talking about commons and uncommons.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
gotcha.
I think pricing is just really dynamic, and it's, I mean, it's driven by supply and demand. There's 10 million plus cards that have already locked in sub $10 grading, as James mentioned, and it's, I don't think people fully appreciate and understand the fact that PSA has 2 years of work in-house already. I do not think we're going to see sub $50 card grading anytime this year. So it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, I have a few thousand cards there. As James mentioned, I mean, I'm grading these cards for less than $10 a piece. I have very little cost basis in a lot of them. And Nick, you kind of mentioned PSA 9 uncommons selling for 50. I think they're closer to 100 right now. Um,
Jeez.
I'm selling a lot of 8s for 50, and I think it's such a weird dynamic because I don't have the ability to send in any more. Yeah, I already have a lot out. When I'm going to get those back exactly, I don't know. I've got a lot more I could send someday if grading ever gets that cheap again. But we might be in a period where it could be 3 years, 4 years until we see $20 card grading again. And people might think that sounds ridiculous or extreme. But again, they have 2 years of work if cards were to stop coming in tomorrow. And I mean, I have some cards I'm sending out very shortly for $300 a card. And when they open up $100 a card, I have many more to send. And when they open up 75 and 50 and 40, I have like a lot of things staged. And I'm a little guy. And I know that some of these big sports guys and some of these businesses, they've got a lot staged and ready to go for each new tier. So it'll be a very interesting couple years, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious
Yeah.
to know what's going to happen. Fast forward a couple years when they do reopen actual bulk submissions that 20 $20 a card tier. I want to know what kind of flood they're going to get once they reopen, because I know I've been prepping all my commons and uncommons, first edition WotC and Shadowless, and once they open that tier, everything is going to go to them, because I made the mistake of keeping all that mint stuff and not submitting it, and that is a huge regret of mine right now. I wish I had pulled something similar to what Charlie did.
Probably
Just
30,000 cards.
everything I had.
And just I think I might be coming across as a bit negative towards the situation with PSA compared to like the general thinking on it. Just to provide a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel and a little optimism. I do know that SGC recently, one question I've seen posed a lot is, will they ever come back down? Like, if and when the market dictates it, they will come down from $20 a card. What I'm saying is I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But SGC recently went from $75 per card was their cheapest service. And that wasn't like where they closed lower services. They just increased the price of the lowest service to $75 per card, as far as I understand. And they've returned that back down to 40 or 45. And I saw a video with the president or the owner of the company, whoever he was, somebody high up. He mentioned that they're going to keep a very close eye on it, and they're going to tweak the pricing to reflect what the market will bear, essentially, because they don't want to do the whole 2-year backlog thing. They want to modulate the demand by the pricing, and I think that's the proper way to do it. I mean, what PSA did, it's crazy to think that they're still grading some of my cards from last May for $750 a piece, while they're unable to take in new cards that I would willingly send for $20 or $50 a card. It's a really unique scenario.
How do you not have something back from May? I mean, isn't there a complete through date like August or something by now?
May is when I sent it, and I have some stuff, and there's been a lot of conversation. Middleman services are different from direct. I have some stuff I sent direct from May still. Some people have got May is when it was delivered there, so it was entered in July or August, whenever. That's when the complete through dates go off of. So when I say May, that's not pertaining to, like, the complete through date goes off of the entered date, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I say they're from May, that's when they were delivered to PSA, not to be opened until months later.
Gotcha. Yeah. So those should be coming soon, though, probably.
But yeah, I have 1,000 cards and coins. I actually sent a bunch of coins back then. I have about 1,000 items in house that are still under their $750 Pokemania special.
Yeah.
That whole special was that whole special killed them.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare.
That should be like studying in business school. You know, that this whole situation should just be studied in business school, like how, supply and demand and just the economics of it all and management decisions.
I can't think of another industry or market where something analogous has happened. Like, what else have you ever bought in your life, a service or an item or whatever, that you joined like a 2-year queue? And what other industry is somebody actively working? Like, they're doing the same service for me for $750 per card that they'd be doing today if they had not the huge backlog. I mean, they could be charging $50 per card for that, yet they're doing it for a fraction of the price. I mean, it's absurd when you think about it.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it man, yeah, it should be studied, because it didn't make it. All of a sudden you had the demand, because the demand was going up. I remember, like, during that time, like it wasn't peaking, but it was definitely like going pretty hard at that time. So, and then all of a sudden they rate. I don't really understand it. I think was it you, one of you two, or was it somebody else that I heard that maybe they were just getting a whole lot of backlog so they could sell it? I think that might have been, to get a higher price. It's like, oh, we have all this backlog and let's sell the company to you guys, But I don't know. That was the whole case. But
I think I said this before in one of our other episodes, but I think the whole Pokemania special was because they knew that CGC was going to start grading Pokemon cards, and they wanted everyone to submit their cards into PSA versus CGC.
Could be.
Yeah, CGC's backed up too big. I mean, last time I saw them, they're like, what, 200 something business days now?
Yeah,
Or
it's like 225.
Yeah.
And they've been really bad with that, where I mean, I submitted some stuff when they were publicly claiming 30 business days, and then I still don't have some stuff back from like January.
Yeah.
So you're not subject to the turnaround time at the time that you submit it. You're subject to the stated turnaround time at the time that it's coming back, which you have no way of knowing. So like
Right.
right before the recent price increase, I sent out 2,000 cards or so. I do not expect those back in under a year. I mean, I think those are going to be next April, next May, probably.
Yeah. It is weird how we're all kind of conditioned to just be like, turnaround times don't matter. We'll just get it back when you. It's like I sent in. I bought a sealed video game, Super Smash Brothers, and sold. Never graded a video game, but I just wanted to, see how the process worked and send it into WADA, and it was a 15-day turnaround. Sent it in. They got it March 20th. It's May almost 20th. It's 2 months later, so it's a 15-day business turnaround time, and they put some email that said, oh well, we suspended some service and every service is doubled, and turnaround times because of the amount of demand, and even if it's doubled, I'm still still not 30 business days. So
yeah,
all these places are just
and on that point, like to me, the Pokemania for 750 was crazy. But don't forget the fact that, what was it, February of this year, you could still send in for sub $10 per card. I think it was $9 in February. And that's even crazier than the 750 in May. Because what was the backlog in May? 2 million cards. Like that was chump change. That was nothing.
Yeah.
They were having a 10 million plus card backlog in February, and they were still taking a minute for 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And then they doubled the price, and then we all know the famous 3 days they took in more than 3 months, which those 3 months were more than the prior.
If they, I really hope I really hope there was somebody filming at PSA to make some kind of documentary during that month. I mean, it would have been it'd be so incredible just to see like the management be like, we shut down the entire post office of Southern California. We're getting just see the packages that come in, and just everybody is just freaking out, just calling each other at 2 a.m. say, I can't handle it, like, and then they just shut it down, or like that point where they raise the prices double and all of a sudden it keeps just coming in. I mean, it must have just been absolute pandemonium. I mean, there aren't many companies out there that get so much demand they just shut down. They just say, okay, that's it. We're not taking any more. It must have been just absolutely insane there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The craziest part to me is like what you said, how they basically delayed all the postal service mail deliveries in Southern California just because of how much volume was going to PSA. They must have a big PO box there.
Oh, they must have it must have just taken the entire post office. Must have just been, just sending to Graded Gem, just, I used to go there, and there, of course, all the people knew me there, after a while, because it's like, oh, the guy with all the, they have a hamper, just hampers and hampers full. So I can't imagine PSA. It must have just been like insane, the amount of packages they would get. And, that's the good thing of, middleman for them, and why they charge a little less to do that, is because, I can turn 50 packages into one single submission.
Yeah.
It must just be, and people pack, a foot 18-inch boxes, by foot with 3 cards in it, and you get a lot I so.
And then the customer service that you take over too is massive.
I said in a video, it's like, I bet at one point, it was just like they just ran out of space. That's why they closed. It's like, we literally do not have space in, Irvine, California, in Newport Beach, where it's like, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 900 square foot home is $5,000 a month. It's prime. you know, it's really expensive real estate. I bet they just ran out of in their airplane hangar. It's like, okay, we just can't take it anymore. When you think about it, I mean, if they absolutely filled an entire post office, you know, I mean, they probably just ran out of space, you know. But I don't know. It's crazy. They should. I bet they were wishing they were where like Beckett is, you know, in Texas, you know, a little cheaper.
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, they didn't pick a good location. Little expensive where they are.
Yeah, quite a bit. But I think they said they were. Didn't they say something where they were opening other places, possibly, like around the country, or they're going to? I don't know. But
I heard something about that. I don't know if I heard them talking about that or if it was something on E4 or Facebook. But I did hear something about that.
yeah,
We'll see. We'll see on that one. That'd be interesting.
yeah, that's what they should just buy 10 acres in like friggin' Kansas or something, you know, just middle of the country, cheap land to just store, you know, everything there. Just kind of have. I don't understand how PWCC Vault takes in all that stuff. Like they have the room for it, especially with their free. That seems like the same thing with the Pokemania.
I was shocked. They did it where it wasn't a $50 minimum. It was a $50 average minimum. So like theoretically, I mean, I sent in my PSA 9 WotC collection. I sent in a bunch of my personal collection and my inventory. So when you send out a $40,000 card, theoretically, I mean, you can send 800 bulk cards with it to get that $50 per card average. And I mean, I sent a bunch of cards that were in like the $50 to $100 range that when you figure out like the hourly rate that their guys are making, especially if I have them store it for a decade first, it seemed really short-sighted. I think they probably did grab a lot of great cards that eventually they're going to auction. They probably in-housed a lot of stuff, but I think if you ask somebody in management there, they'd probably go back and say, yeah, we should have done 200 a card average minimum or 500 a card, something like that, because
I mean, that must be like one of the most, I mean, you talk about something like, you know, the museum that holds like you know, the Mona Lisa or whatever. I mean, that has to be one of the most expensive buildings on earth, you know, that has that vault, if it really all is in that, you know, one building. I mean,
did you guys see they actually posted to their YouTube a few years ago? I think they posted a time lapse of them constructing the vault. It's not like massive. Maybe they've expanded it since, but it was like a big, looked like a industrial type building, high ceilings, big warehouse style space, and then they built like in the middle of that, they built the vault. Just it's a time lapse video of a forklift bringing in these like cement blocks for the like tall solid concrete, I'm sure, and then they're putting the vault. It's a pretty cool time lapse video, but I don't know, 100 by 100 maybe it was like 10,000 square feet. It didn't seem massive.
yeah.
So like I think before the promo, someone on E4 mentioned they had, I don't even know where they track it on their site, but I think they had mentioned that 100 and something thousand items. And that was before the promo. I'd be interested to know what they had after, because like I sent in 700 alone. And if they only had 100,000, I became 1% of their, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a nobody, and I'm sure there were guys, there were probably people, because you could send, it wasn't 3 items for free. It was 3 submissions for free. There were probably businesses that sent 3 pallets. I mean,
I mean, I don't know how they even, I don't know what they're doing in there, you know. Like my wife was like, do you know how to, you know, set some first edition base packs there? And she's like, so how secure is it? Or like, how, like, do you know where it is? And she's asking these questions. I'm like, well, it's like a secure vault, I guess. Maybe I should do more research into it, because then I was thinking, yeah, there must be like, I don't know. I don't even know, these real expensive sports, things that are, PSA, 10 Michael Jordan Fleers that are $500,000 just for one of them. I mean, there might be 100 million, plus dollars in that thing, and I mean, you guys know slabs take a decent amount of room. I mean, and you can send in booster boxes too, and that takes a pretty decent amount of room. So yeah, it's one of those things, kind of like a mystery, like PSA, what's happening behind there.
Yeah.
You'd hope they all are actually in a vault, but yeah, it's
Yeah. I wonder how many people keep their stuff there though versus just selling it off almost right away.
that's true. I have stuff there that, yeah, I'm just keeping it there because I just don't want it. I just don't want it here. But I bet you're right. I bet there are a decent amount of people that once it gets there and they're like, oh, I can sell it without thinking about being scanned or whatever. It's like, let me just sell it, and just put it at auction or whatever. So I bet you're right. That's obviously the reason that they made it, is to get those fees and start selling those. But just the in and out of how many people go in and out of that vault each day to put stuff in or take stuff out. I mean, it must be, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I submitted a lot, and I submitted some parts from my personal collection that I don't really intend to sell anytime too soon. I submitted some pretty cheap stuff too that I'm thinking like, let me just leave that CGC9 unlimited Charmander there for till I die and see what happens with it. Like, are they really gonna store it free forever? Because that's just crazy to me.
That is real crazy. I should have taken, because I thought it was 3. I just, I guess I was just lazy about it, but I thought it was 3 free items. I didn't know it was 3 free submissions. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's, man. But are you guys noticing any kind of slowdown in sales? I know there have been some kind of decreases in some prices of some stuff. You've seen people being a little more cautious, a little more offering less, or not really? Because I only have like 30-ish PSA cards, because I just kind of ran out of stuff, and all my packs are just on my own website. I have a few of them on there, so I don't really know too much, but it seems like a little slower selling the packs. Do you guys have any market insight on those?
Sorry, go ahead.
You can go ahead.
So I had a 400 card PSA return come back a few weeks back, and it's mostly modern 9s and 10s, like promos. I had a handful of the Rayquaza, this guy right here, the alternate art from the Hidden Fates box. Those are selling. I'm similar to you, James, in that I searched up that card. The lowest listing was like 330. I think I went 320, and I sold one. And then I had like 8 of them or something. I sold them one at a time. I think I'm down to my last one now.
Nice.
PSA 9 and 10, some 8s, jungle and fossil cards. I had somebody go through, a couple different international buyers go through last week and just buy 10, 20 at a time, multiple orders. So for what I'm selling specifically, some of the things that I think are, I mean, I have a lot more of them in the backlog currently. So some of the worst offenders as far as what might happen with the prices going ahead, and I'm selling.
Yeah, I've noticed that quite a few of mine, percentage wise versus, I don't know, years ago, a lot of them are through, I don't know if you use global shipping program.
Yep.
A lot of them seem to be through there versus like my percentages. I sometimes follow that, like what percentage is through international versus, in the US. It seems like there's definitely more demand internationally than US, at least from my end, you know.
I love that program, and I think I see the same thing. I feel like in a way, when I ship it overseas, it almost feels, just due to how much more they're paying for it and due to their difficulty in selling it down the line, I almost feel like those cards are consumed in a way. Like they're more likely to be taken off the market forever when they're sold like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think it's a good thing in a lot of ways, but I do see that too. I have, of the 100 or 200 cards I've sold in the past few weeks, I mean, it feels like half of them were GSP almost.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's kind of interesting.
How about you,
I've
Nick?
been having a lot of international sales too. I don't use the GSP though. I actually thought about switching over, but then I decided against it, just because it costs the buyer more to do it. It's a lot better for the seller, but for the buyer, it's better to have me just ship it internationally. And where I'm not shipping super high value stuff, I don't mind doing it. But in terms of sales, I actually noticed I got a little nervous. March was fantastic. It was $1,000 in sales every day of the week, every day throughout the month. April was a little bit more. I like to say I do about $500 in sales every day. So April followed that trend a little bit better. Towards the end of April, though, my sales fell off a cliff. I was doing like $50 to $100 in sales for like a week straight, and I don't know what happened there. But now getting into May, my sales have picked up again, and I think I'm already doing better than I did throughout the month of April. I think it's going to be close to March, which in March I did close to like 45,000 in sales. So I haven't noticed a slowdown aside from there was like a week period where my sales just dropped off a cliff. But aside from that, it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, I might be like Dan, you selling some modern cars. Might be as I don't have any modern, and probably is too. You know, I think there's, I know I've seen like modern has held steady, or and vintage has gone down. I think a decent amount of that might be that a lot of the people who have been in this hype for a while that like vintage, they have a lot of their capital at like PSA, and they can't, like, even like me, I'm kind of running out of capital spend because it's all just there. So the people that are buying these vintage stuff or putting in their collection, they might be getting to a point, where it's like, oh, I just have so much there that I can't buy that booster box, or I can't buy that vintage thing that I want to add to my collection from my profits that I make from flipping or buying and selling. Whereas modern, it's like, that's not really, that's a different sect of people. And at the same time, it's cheaper, so it has a wider amount of demand. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how the modern is, even though there's a ton of it coming back and being added to pop, and a lot of them still being printed, it's kind of still holding,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of buying collections, have you bought anything in the past 2 weeks?
Well, I'm gonna be, like I told you for the podcast, I'm gonna be buying some big collection at the beginning of June. It's probably gonna be one of the biggest ones I've done in person. But I really, I bought a collection like October, November, like at the peak, and I was paying like definitely under market, but at this point it's probably it's a lot. It's probably the riskiest thing to do nowadays is buy collections and get them graded and sell, which was not the case years ago. It just wasn't the case. I mean, because you buy a collection, it's like, oh, I'm paying PSA 7 or 7, 8 price, whatever, near mint prices, and you have a mint collection. I can get some 9s, some 10s, and go through that because I know that the price of these cards are probably going to be about what they are in a month, because I'm going to get them back in a month or two, Whereas now it's like, you buy a collection. That was, even though this is a really, I think, pretty amazing, collection that I will be purchasing. It's like, and I told the guy, it's like, because he wanted, a little bit more. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do, because you just don't know where it's going to be in a year and a half, 2 years, whenever, you get it back. It's just a total crapshoot. It takes a lot more risk, which, if you're running this, if you're just doing it on the side as a business, or if you're running it, as a business just yourself, you're trying to eliminate as much risk as possible. So it's, buying collections nowadays is really, you really got to be, it's really got to be something that's, that you only see every so often, buying collection after collection, even though it's a good deal. Like I think, Nick, you were saying that, like, you were kind of stopping, you were buying all these collections that were a good deal, and you're just so kind of backlogged and with all those things to list. And at the same time, if you are saying it in, who knows what the prices will be, down the line. I mean, it's like, I think I saw, so I was making some video about PSA 10. I think I did a video today, like Bitcoin and PSA 10 unlimited hollows. I mean, they were like $1,500 like in 2016, and then $1,800 2017, and I got up to 4,000. Didn't move anything for 2 years. So for the 2 years, you kind of knew what that price was going to be, right? And then it jumped up to like 25,000 for a complete set or something now, or $30,000 for a complete set. So if you're grading those, it's like, well, is it going to go back down to 5,000? Is it going to cut in half? It's going to how much is retrace is going to go? And it's tough too, negotiating with people now too, because they have that price now in mind, and they might have not been for a while, and they don't understand kind of the risk involved. So I think Dan, you said you kind of stopped doing those buying collections. I'm guessing that's probably why, just because of how much time is needed to send those in and the risk involved. But yeah, that's kind of my long-winded answer on that one. But yeah.
I haven't had the time to buy collections like that in quite some time. I really don't even look for them, unfortunately, but it's something I do want to get back into in the future. But yeah, like you mentioned, you're dealing with so much uncertainty. It used to be years ago, bulk used to be it was slow when it was like 3 months, and more stable markets, you could do a spreadsheet, you could estimate, okay, I'm going to get these grades, it's going to cost me this much. There wasn't a ton of uncertainty in a 3-month time period. I mean, you could have some slight ebbs and flows, but now you're not only looking at the uncertainty that if I were able to submit it today, it might take 2 years to come back. You've got the added uncertainty that, sure, some of the more premium cards, you can pay $300 per card and you can submit them now. You can submit some of them at $200 a card, $100 a card, whatever comes up next. But if you've got 80% of the cards from the collection are worth grading, but only at $20 per card, as I mentioned earlier, you might be a year or two away from when that even opens up, and then you've got another year until it's coming back. So you need an advanced economics degree, and you need to have a crystal ball to understand when these things will happen, and just the layers of uncertainty. And when you sell a collection to a business or to someone like James, I mean, you're getting the cash up front, and you're washing your hands of it, and the business or the individuals taking on all the risk. I mean, there's a lot there in this current market.
Yeah, I know Nick's bought quite, he's a collection buying fool over there. buying them off Facebook, and which I don't even have a Facebook, or so I know I'm missing a lot of deals over there on Facebook. I've heard that there are quite a few over there, but it's probably a good thing. But not finding those, because then I just run out of money even quicker.
I have a lot of good luck on Facebook. That's where I get a good majority of my purchases now. I I found a pretty decent collection at a yard sale actually this past weekend, which was super cool because it's been forever since I've actually found anything. But it was it's like there's like 20 WotC Hollow cards. They're all like there's a few near mint ones. Most of them are excellent. There's a few played ones. And then there's a whole bunch of the non-hollow rares, decent amount of commons and uncommons too. But I got that whole binder for $10, which was awesome. But aside from that, I haven't been buying. I bought some Battle Styles ETBs, and there was the Battle V decks today. But that's just modern product. Aside from that, I haven't been buying too much the past couple weeks. Just trying to get caught up on everything that I have right now.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff. So basically, do you? Because I know this is probably a question a lot of people have: is if you get stuff that's not gradable, like not mint, or maybe even like PSA 8-ish or above, like do you bulk it all out? Do you like say, hey, here's like 10 of them or whatever, or do you list it individually, or you just keep it in the back until it possibly rises in value?
So I've been sorting through my first edition commons and uncommons recently. I actually just finished that up today, which was a huge accomplishment. But I did anything that was mint condition. So like if it was like one of the better commons and uncommons, I did PSA 8 and above. But for the most part, it was PSA 9 and above. Anything like that got put into one box. Anything that was near mint, so PSA 7 to PSA 8 range, got put in one box. And then anything below PSA 7 got put in another box. And the mint cards will get graded. The near mint cards will get listed individually on eBay or get added into my backstock inventory. And then all the excellent and played cards, those will just get put aside. And then once I accumulate enough of them, like I usually do like once I get like a monster box full of them, then I'll list them all as a big buy it now listing and sell them all together like that.
Does Troll and Toad do those, like those kind of cards?
I can't see many people buying like moderate played cards.
I get you.
Especially where their near mint cards are played condition sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Get you. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you have played cards, what to really do with them. I guess what a lot of people have is even if you get a binder of mostly, you're going to have those cards that just aren't. I mean, it's really tough to ever find a binder where they're all really good condition. It's usually kind of mixed and whatnot. But yeah, that's probably the best way, because then you just get rid of all of them in that bulk kind of submission.
Just get rid of them.
Yeah. But
have you had any good purchases, Dan?
I've actually, which way? Look at this playmat. I got this playmat recently for $25. New Pokemon Center release. You can't go wrong with a ball guy playmat. I actually have been doing a little. Some of these I had some for a while, and some of them I picked up recently. But they're all CGC, PSA, MAP, the old grading company that's defunct for over a decade, I think. SGC and BGS. I kind of want to obtain a mint 9 of every grading company, base Charizard, that I can find. Some of the more obscure and newer grading companies, I'm going to do a submission in the next few weeks, 10 or 20 cards to some of these. Rusty recently did a video on the DSG. There's any three-letter acronym you can come up with, there's probably a grading company under that name. So that's kind of a fun little thing that I've been working on lately. And then I did an Instagram post recently of a couple mysterious pearls that I picked up. And that's something that I discussed in the past, kind of leveraging your collection. Cards get knocked a little bit as an investment because they don't pay dividends, but I'm toying with the idea of how I'm going to name the YouTube video that's upcoming, but I found a way to make my PSA 10 Pearl, Mysterious Pearl, pay dividends, because I sold it out of the vault a few weeks ago. And these 2 copies that I recently got in, I mean, one of them looks gem. One of them looks very, very nice. So I was able to sell the most recent PWCC auction for a Pearl went for 15.1 thousand. I sold mine in the vault for 16, and I picked up 2 raw mint copies on Bai and Mercari for about 3,500 each. So, I mean, if one of those comes back at 10, I'm doing very well, regardless of if the price heads up or down. I've got my eye on a couple more, and I might turn the 2 raw mint copies into gambling on a couple more, because there is risk there. You buy anybody familiar with the Japanese sites, if you buy a beauty products card, it's not always beauty products. But
yeah, that's something I never got into, but I know there is definitely a pretty big opportunity if you can just learn it,
yeah,
the whole Japanese sites and learning the risks there and really just going after it. But I never did. I made a YouTube video about that, and I was like, a lot of people reached out. They're like, oh, they have this person, and I mean, I got some call from some guy in Australia that he's like, yeah, man. It's like I just go to these websites and I buy. I mean, this guy he did like a video call. He's like, I just got to show you this. And I mean, he must have had like Wizard of the Coast. Well, not Wizard of the Coast, but the WotC, hollow era of Japanese cards from base through like Neo. I mean, this guy must have had 80,000 holographics, and he just kept buying like, oh, there's an auction, there's $100, then they'll send like 500 of them. There's another 100, 500. I mean, and he would just show me. He was really excited just to. So he's like, yeah, I've just been doing. He's like, I don't know what to do with them though, because we can't. There's no great, sending it to get graded from Australia is apparently a pretty big hassle, especially with her, I guess. But I mean, it was just, there are people that are definitely doing that with that aspect, or they're like you're saying, there are people that just go for like trophies and really high end and those kind of cards. But yeah, that's really a section of the market that really there isn't any. There are a lot of YouTube videos on a lot of other things, but there's not really much on that. I think people have just kind of they know the opportunity there, and not really letting people know about it, which I get, I understand, but it's like how to, because I know there are risks associated with it, right? Like, is it like you have to send it to a middleman, and then if they can't get it, then they still charge you the fee or something like that? Or is that kind of how it?
So I've only so far gone with Bai. I know that some of the name's slipping my mind. There are, why can't I think of it? There are some different middleman websites where you can only pay in yen. So like you need to deposit some fraction of what you want to bid. So say I want to bid $50,000. I've got to put in, some sites, I think you got to put in the full 50 as yen. And then you pay, if you're paying a 4% conversion fee or something on 50 grand, well, that's 2,000 one way and 2,000 back if it gets refunded or whatever. So yeah, I didn't get into anything that big yet. There's some guys out there doing the Pikachu victory rings and the Mew orbs, and the Mysterious Pearl is kind of that's more my tier of mid to low tier trophy.
Yeah, I've said it before. If it's something like, like David Adams or Collector's Cat, somebody who has a lot of capital, to spend, they just, hey, let me hire 2 or 3 people in Japan. Like they just hire them full time. I'm sure there are probably people that do this, but just hire them full time there, and they're experts in the market and they just buy and sell and they send it back there. I'm sure they would pay for, their salary over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's surprising, like the barrier to entry to getting into those markets is so much lower than it used to be with some of these sites, and maybe the barrier is not any lower, but like the information's more readily out there, as you mentioned, not so much on YouTube, but like E4 is a treasure trove of information. There's actually a guide somebody wrote maybe 5 years ago. I think it was Pokemon Trader or something, how to search and good search terms for Yahoo Japan and Bai, and
Well,
so but it's still strange, like when this card in PSA 9 is selling for 6,000-7,000, and in PSA 10 it's selling for 15,000+, and the raw mint for 3,000. I mean, I see that as a massive opportunity, and
yeah.
it's fairly risky when you don't know where the prices are headed if you're going into it with just fresh new capital. But that's something that I've done over the years. When you own the card graded and you have the ability to sell it and then use those proceeds to get back into the raw mint card, like the price could go up on the card and I'm doing well because I've got it back raw mint, and the price could go down on the card. So I sold one for 16 and I bought two back for about 7 total. If the card goes down, if the value goes down 50%, I've already extracted several $1,000s out of it. So I mean, I'm in a position where even if the price goes down, like I might end up with the card again in PSA 10 and several $1,000s.
Right.
and,
Yeah.
and
And I mean, it's a lot of it's too is like, you have that kind of barrier to entry. It's like, oh, it's like, how to search on these websites and whatever, but also, you got to know what the price of these higher end cards are. A lot of them just you don't see the price. You don't really know what the price is, exact price versus like a PSA 9 base Charizard, you kind of know what that price is. So you're kind of having two of these barriers, which is, good for you or anybody who wants to kind of get into it. You have these two barriers which kind of eliminate a decent amount of the competition out there, and that's really what it's all about when you're in this buying and selling kind of business, is eliminating as much competition as possible for as long a time as possible. That's why it's like we circle back to having a YouTube or Instagram or something. Like people will just come to you for collections and whatnot. Like you just completely eliminated all competition. It's just you're just basically negotiating against yourself at that point versus with them versus someone lists a legendary collection box, former WotC employee doesn't really knows prices from 2002 who lists it for $5,000. Like that's going to be, you all of a sudden have the competition of everybody's looking on eBay at that exact time. So that is a really good thing to realize, is that if you're kind of go into things where you kind of can have that advantage, like Nick was going to Facebook. Like, unless I'm wrong, isn't Facebook kind of localized, or is that not like the Facebook Marketplace where you kind of eliminate like nationwide, people looking at it, so you're really only looking at that. I mean, I know that's how you eliminate for like Craigslist, right? Because it's like, hey, I just have Pokemon people who are looking at Craigslist at this time in Phoenix, right? Versus
They have the like the marketplace, which is similar to Craigslist, where you're looking just in your area. But then they also have like Facebook groups where anyone in the world can join it, and they do buying and selling and trading. I don't think I've ever purchased anything from like the marketplace portion of Facebook, where it's more localized. All the good deals that I found, at least, are in these different Pokemon groups where you're purchasing it and they're actually shipping the stuff to you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've made some purchases on, like, Verbank is one of the, I'm in a couple, but that's the main one, I think. And it is what it is. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the issues you can run into on there, but there are gems that you can find too. I found a lot of a lot of like there's a lot of players on there. So I've found a lot of the Champions festivals and the tropical beaches, and I've got a lot of those buried in the PSA backlog that it'll be nice to get sometime next year.
And then some of the stuff you see on there is unbelievable. Like I don't know if you saw it, but a couple of weeks ago now, maybe someone posted I didn't even know this existed until someone posted it, but it's a sealed case of the 2 cases of 72 count base set booster box or booster packs. So there's
didn't see
2 of
that.
those sealed cases in one bigger case, which I had no idea that was even a thing.
I have Facebook to thank for 2 of my full art Pikachu trainers too, the World's trophies. So again, as Nick mentioned, that he kind of writes off zero feedback eBay sellers, and then James isn't present on Facebook marketplaces. I mean, you can't be everywhere at all times, but there's value to be found, even in the market that we're in. Really high pricing, and certain things have gone down, certain things have only been going up. It's such a massive market, it's so diverse, there's always opportunities.
The one you bought in DC, that was posted on Facebook, wasn't it?
The one I bought at Worlds,
Yeah.
that wasn't posted on Facebook. I bought it from the winner a few hours after he got it. That one through Discord. That one somebody messaged
That's right.
in
Okay.
the Discord.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, having a presence everywhere, having cash ready to go, money ready to go when an opportunity pops up.
Yep.
Yep, that's a big one too. You got to have it ready when it's going to come, because it's and I think Nick, you were saying that maybe it was Dan, one of you saying in the last podcast, or maybe it was the one before that, we were saying, you can buy these good deals down the line, but then all of a sudden you kind of run out of stuff, and then that one really big,
the great one,
yeah. So you can hit a lot of singles, or you can hit the Grand Slam. It's just a different kind of thing. You never know when they're going to pop up. You just but you're right. Just like it's that question we had about on the platforms, you just gotta, like, who knows if you weren't on Discord, who knows if you would have gotten that message. I don't know, just if you're just someone out there and you're just trying to get into this and you think you're just going to do it all by finding deals on eBay, I mean, you can find stuff. I think everybody should be well aware of eBay, should really know how to use eBay and find stuff, but it's really the other platforms where you might discover something, and it might rotate. Like it used to be OfferUp. I'd find everything on OfferUp, that app. I mean, I'd find collections all the time, great deals. I probably met 50, 100 people on that app, and then it just kind of died. There just wasn't anything there anymore. And I was like Craigslist. It was a time where had some good stuff, and then there just wasn't anything on it. And eBay has just been that constant. There's stuff there every once in a while. You never know what's going to pop up, but you just got to kind of dip your toes in everything and see what's out there. Because, like I said, like you might be in like I used to, like my wife's mom lives in Indiana. When I was there, it's like, oh, I'd look at OfferUp, because I find stuff on OfferUp all the time in Phoenix, and there was just nothing. I mean, there's just like this Pokemon item that was posted 45 days ago. That was like the most recent item, whereas Phoenix, it was like every hour there was something else that was posted there. So you might be in an area that just doesn't have that, or you might be international and there's just nothing, there. I've heard stories of people they're international, they just don't have any market. All their market is just eBay, or people shipping them from Instagram or whatever. So yeah, it's there'll probably be some other app that pops up there that is I know this, we were talking about Whatnot. Is that just like selling stuff, or is that, I mean, can you like find stuff that people list, or is that just?
I think that's just like live auctions.
Okay. Okay.
Generally box breaks, but then they do like single graded cards and stuff too.
Yeah. But I'm sure there'll be something else that pops up every, once in a while, and you just gotta jump on there and check it out.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, no, there's always something somewhere new to buy product.
Yeah.
And it's constantly changing. I actually used to have pretty good luck posting ads on Craigslist looking to buy Pokemon cards.
You're one of those people. It's like, oh, I have. It's like you had a picture of his dollar bills, and it's like, I'll pay $100,000 for whatever you have. Send it over.
Years ago, I used to run one. I had a coin when I was doing like silver and stuff, and I used to do beer steins and stuff for one of my local breweries. So at the same time, I had coins and video games and beer steins and Pokemon cards, and someone would message me, hey, I have a collection to sell. Well, what are you selling? Are we talking walking half dollars, silver eagles, or are we talking Mario games? Or I don't know which ad you responded to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, if it works, it works. But yeah, that's Craigslist it was funny because Craigslist used to be like, or at least had this mentality that there's just a whole bunch of scammers, and it's just like a whole bunch of like losers on that site. But I always found like I always had the best deals. Like they're always the nicest people. It's like other apps like Let Go, like that was for me in Phoenix. That was a scam app if I ever seen one. Just so many scammers on there. But yeah, it's just a whole learning process. You're gonna be buying and selling. There's just a whole lot of stuff that you have to learn. You guys could do 100 of these podcasts and still wouldn't. There's just stuff you learn all the time in every format. It's just, and I'm sure we all have probably made mistakes just recently. That's like Nick, you were saying you should have sent in all your Mint stuff.
Yeah.
So even though we've been doing this for years, it's still, making those mistakes.
I think I made another one recently too. I'm full of mistakes recently, but I back in December, I bought some acrylic booster box cases, like the storage cases for booster boxes, and it's a company in China that manufactures them. And so they reached out to me back in December, and I had 100 of them made. I got them, was probably the end of January by the time I actually received them, and listed them on eBay. They were selling really, really good. So when I got down to like 10 or no, it was like 20, 25 that I had left, I went ahead and placed another order for 200 this time because they sold really good. I sold out of them in a month or two. And so I ordered another 200, and it was like a couple days after I ordered this additional 200, I started getting all these different messages from like on my different email accounts, just from random people within this acrylic company in China asking if I wanted acrylic products made. And beforehand, they were asking if I had any needs for acrylic products to be made, but now they were asking if I wanted Pokemon booster box cases or Pokemon ETB cases. So it's become a matter of anyone can go ahead and order these products if they find the company now. So now those types of products are kind of getting flooded on eBay, and having a tougher time selling them now. Now that I have 200 of them. But yeah. luckily they're pretty cheap, and they'll sell slowly. But that was definitely a bummer there.
Yeah, I should have sold some more of my Charizards at the peak of end of 2020 instead of. I think Dan, you said you had sold some of your. I think you did well, right? You sold kind of into that peak.
I sold enough to pay off my house.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Yeah.
This lineup right here, I didn't own any of these after October or November because I think going into it, I mean, I sold, I didn't, you can almost never buy at the bottom, the absolute bottom, and sell at the absolute top, right? So
Yeah.
early last year, I probably had 6 or so PSA 9 unlimited Charizards, and I sold one at 2K, 3K, 4,500. I did get a couple north of 5,000, but then I sold the last one or maybe two on the way down to, and now I think they're back. I think they bottomed at maybe 1,500. Maybe they're headed back towards 2 now. But I think, again, there's always opportunities somewhere. I think that some of these cards are probably overreacting, like they're going to overcorrect too low. And I'm not saying necessarily the PSA 9 Charizard, but certain cards out there. I think there's going to be some opportunities over the next year or two as these cards come out of PSA. I think certain things are going to go too low, and I'm going to be ready to buy if and when I see value.
Yeah, that's it's always good to sell when you don't need to sell. That's, you know, always like then when you do need to sell, it's like, oh, okay, you know, it's yeah. I think I sold a pristine 10 Japanese Charizard for like 8,000 something, and like 3 months, maybe 3 months before, someone offered 18, and I was like, nah, you know, for it. So that's about a 10K loss right there. But I mean, it was going, at that time, I was going so berserk. It was like I was trying to, that was like one of those offers. Is like, nah, I'm so busy with sending cards get graded and you know, listing other things that were like, you know, in my mind was like, there's like, that was 18K was a crazy price for that, but it was like, well, it's still a pristine, it's still a Charizard. It's like, well, who knows? But like I was listing, like selling instantly Jungle PSA 10 first edition Pikachu's for like $900. Like I've listed it and it sold for like 10 minutes. Like I have to list another one 10 minutes. Like it was like, what is? So I was just busy kind of selling off the stuff that I was like, okay, well, like there are people that have hundreds of these just sitting around their bulk that you know, kind of sell those quickly. But
and from that perspective, like that was relatively cheap for that card. Like I would much rather have that card in pristine condition than 18 Jungle Pikachus. So I get what you're saying. You were selling the one that felt like a less stable price, that felt like it's going to be more flooded down the line. But again, like you've been in the market for years now. You're very experienced and knowledgeable, but you made a bad call there, and you're always going to make some. You're not going to always pick the tops and the bottoms.
Oh, it happens to everyone.
And you say that you lost 10,000, but I'm sure you had far less than 18,000 into that card, right? You lost the opportunity to achieve 10,000 more in profit, but you still profited pretty handsomely, I'd imagine.
Right. Yeah. No, that's definitely true. But yeah, the people that, you know, that kind of got into this kind of towards a peak, you know, they were sending in all their cars and they were buying and selling, and they had that higher cost basis, you know. It's you know, I'm just kind of wondering what, I mean, the thing about, we've been in this long enough where I think a lot of us have the cost basis so low for a lot of this stuff where it doesn't really matter. But it'd be interesting to see. I wish there was some like kind of people who were buying and selling who got into it, like a YouTube channel or something to follow, where they got into it at kind of peak and kind of their whole process of how they're going to kind of get out of that, you know, situation, or they're just going to hold for a long time. You know, I'm not too sure, but yeah, that'd be interesting if someone actually did it. I've noticed some, because I do follow probably 3 or 4 sports card channels, and some of them are these young kids who are, you know, some are like 17, 20, years old who were like at the peak of the sports. I mean, they were,
Pulling in $50,000 cards.
yeah, they were like, oh, here's a $50,000 whatever refractor Kobe or whatever it was. And LeBron James, they were just like buying and selling these $50,000, $80,000. It's like, oh my God, like you're 20 years old, and the last time there was an actual downturn in the overall economy was like, 2010, it was kind of starting to recover. I mean, so, you were 6, 8 years old last time there was anything. So it's all you've known.
Yeah.
You've only known this stuff to be stable or go up. You've never kind of seen that dip. And I've noticed like 2 of them just kind of stopped doing videos. Another one, I think he was a little smart. He flipped so quickly that I don't really think it affected him that much, but I'm sure there are a lot of people that really got caught up in that, and see how that kind of, I'm sure they're not all holders, I'm sure there are going to be some decent sellers there. And that kind of puts into perspective, like if you're going to invest, like I did a series on the base set through Neo Destiny, looking at those prices, and a lot of the like Neo's PSA 10 really weren't affected at all or went up, versus like Unlimited Base or some of the Jungles and Fossils and Team Rockets, had a pretty decent increase because there's a lot of pop. There's a lot of those booster boxes out there that, these streamers break open, whereas there's not much pop out there. So I think you're doing a good thing, doing those mysterious pearls, because you don't have that supply issue, at all. But yeah, I don't know where that ramble was going, but
It was interesting to listen to there.
I think you started out on some of the YouTubers that I kind of mentioned before you hopped on the call. I've gone down a rabbit hole the past few weeks, actually. Like my normal content that I consume is, I mean, you're a must watch. Nick, I follow. I catch some of Rusty's. I watch pretty much all Scott's, Jake, Pokenomics.
Yeah.
So like that's generally E4 guys and the guys who've been around for a while. But I kind of went in a new browser, searched Pokemon card investing, and I watched a couple of videos and I let the recommended just carry me away. And there are some scary things out there as far as there's guys, I mentioned to Nick, they've got green screen backgrounds and they've got themselves like they're driving in a Lamborghini, and they're talking about a lot of these modern cards or these heavily printed promos being good investments, and they're talking about what to buy at these prices. And I'm just thinking, like, you're buying them from me and I've got 100 of them there, and I'm one guy. Like I specifically, one of them was like the Champions Path Elite Trainer Box promo, and saying it's a good buy at $100 or $150, whatever the 10 is now. I've got 100 of them, and I'm a little guy, and I know of one person that bought 2,500 of them, mint sealed all at once, with intent to grade, presumably most of them. And I mean, that Champion Path Elite Trainer Box, I still have cases of them sealed. A lot of them are out there. And you're talking about guys that have no cost basis into the card because they sold the packs for profit, and then they're grading them for less than $10 a piece. And that being $150 card, it's scary to think that there's guys buying 50 of those thinking they're a really solid investment and going to go to 1,000 someday, and maybe they will. I kind of have reason to doubt it.
Maybe 1,000 years.
Yeah, I mean,
I know what you're like. There was, they were kind of that, everybody was commenting on it, on that Frosted Caribou did something on scalpers or whatnot, and I never even heard of her. And she, like, I watched like the first part of the video, and it was like it had this introduction, it had all these YouTubers, and I was like, I don't even know any of these people. I just kind of like, I was the you, I kind of have this section. I guess the YouTube algorithm just kind of puts me towards this section of the people that watch Pokemon, but there's this huge swath of all these people who are on there, and I think I remember clicking on one, or it suggested to me somebody after I did that, and you're right. I mean, he was like, I remember him saying, like, Hidden Fate, you need to buy Hidden Fates. I don't know what it is, the tins or whatever. He's like, and he was like, he kept saying it's guaranteed to go up. Like it's guaranteed. It's absolutely guaranteed. It was just like free money. Like if you buy this, you're guaranteed to double or triple or whatever. I was like, wow, this is not the kind of.
In some of these videos, you're talking, I mean, I saw some channels that were less than 6 months old that had 10,000 plus subscribers, and they had so many likes, very few dislikes, and they had so many, I mean, you read the comments and it's just like, it's scary. I think like Jake from Pokenomics, I think he's talked a lot about this, and I think he's caught some flack for it. I think certain people have felt kind of targeted by him when he's not remotely discussing. He's not really talking of anyone directly in these circles so much. He's those circles, because if you just follow blind, like Pokemon investing in a new browser, don't be logged into your YouTube. Just start fresh and just follow what's recommended. I mean, play it in the background for a couple hours while you're sorting cards or whatever, and you'll get into some scary, the G word, the guarantee word, and it's one thing to say, like, I'm buying everything modern that I get allocated. I'm buying them at wholesale prices.
Right.
To buy, I just bought Vivid Voltage restock, and I know Nick did too. We paid 80 to 85 a box, and they're selling for 200 in the open market. Vivid Voltage is an amazing investment at 80 to 85 a box. At 200 a box, it scares the hell out of me. I'm selling it for 200 a box.
I sold out. I only got 6. I sold out of mine in less than a day. I would accept offers of 190 a box, and I sold all 6 of them 190 to 200 a box in less than a day.
So you made $100 bill per box. That was a great investment for you. But to the people buying, it's a brand new set. I mean, there are some boxes right now, modern boxes that are only a year or two old, that are $500 a box. Maybe the Voltage will do that, but for someone to sit there on YouTube with a channel that's less than 6 months old, presumably they've only been in the hobby or in the market for less than 6 months. Some of these people, and they're saying the G word, guarantee, at retail, buying Vivid Voltage for 200. It's gonna be $1,000 box within 5 years. It's gonna be it's one thing if you want to make a case for, I think it could be because of this and that, and my educated guess, whatever, put all your disclaimers. There are no disclaimers. There are no, I mean, the G word is there, and that is scary.
And these people are pretty convincing. Like Dan sent me one video of, it was one of these in modern investing type videos, and I took a look at it because I'd never seen these types of videos either, and the guy was actually pretty convincing. I was second guessing myself about buying Evo Hollows after watching the video, because he said those were going to be going up to the moon.
High production values and everything, and they show their backgrounds, and they show a bunch of cash, and they show and I think that's more like what Jake was targeting, and for whatever reason, some other people felt kind of slighted because maybe 1 or 2 of his 10 red flags applied to them to some extent, and there are. I promise you, there are hundreds of channels out there with thousands of subscribers that hit all 10 out of 10 of his red flags.
I hit a few of them.
It's scary.
So do you think that kind of is keeping modern a little inflated, where it, like we said, vintage fell? Is it because a lot of these channels are kind of pumping modern? I mean, are they pumping and guaranteeing vintage, or you figure that they're like mostly modern? Like,
oh, you can definitely find ones guaranteeing crazy things about vintage too. I mean, look at the. Did you see the base booster case base set first edition booster
Oh
case.
Oh yeah, million bucks in less than a year.
Guaranteed. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I mean,
Well, yeah,
you
that guy
you
was just
could
that guy was just a salesman. That guy was
you
just trying to sell it.
you can
Yeah.
make a logical argument as to why you think it could head there, but again, to throw the guarantee word is just absurd. So I'm sure they're out there for vintage too, but the ones that seem more prevalent, at least in the rabbit hole that I ended up in, generally modern. And again, I love modern. I think there's so many amazing promos. There's so many nice cards. Some of the guys are really set in their ways. WotC's the only way to go. I like a lot of the modern stuff. I'm doing binders for myself, a lot of these, but I think getting them in at the ground floor distributor pricing, you can't go wrong on anything. I think it's all a great investment at wholesale pricing. I think it's all reasonable. If you enjoy it, it's all reasonable at retail too. But to be pumping this stuff at double retail or more, and then how many of these guys, you don't know how many of these guys are pumping, buy Vivid Voltage at 200 a box. If you search on eBay, Vivid Voltage booster boxes, there are some accounts that have sold 5,000 of them at 200 a box, and they're no name. Like it's not you or me or Nick. It's these weird no name accounts, and like, how many of those have YouTubes where they pump them? I mean, that stuff's scary.
Oh, definitely. I think it is more geared towards modern though, because at least I would hope. So
Yeah.
I think once you start talking like higher dollar amounts, like with WotC stuff, I would at least hope people do a little bit more research than listening to some random guy on YouTube.
And getting to, I mean, staying on the nefarious side of it, there are people that are actively able to purchase large amounts of new product. You can't go out and buy a pallet of jungle booster boxes, or I mean, you can't reasonably acquire. So it makes sense that like the lower barrier to entry, the lower bar stuff is the thing that's accessible. And if I've got 10 pallets of Vivid Voltage, there's a perverse incentive there to exploit the market and pump it really high.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, people love searching for modern on YouTube. I mean, it's just, I mean, my second most watched YouTube video has like 25,000 views. My most viewed video, and this is from a guy who does vintage stuff, has over 100,000 views, and it's the top 5 modern things to buy. It's modern. It's 100,000 views, 4 times more than my second most watched video, and it's about a modern thing that I really was just kind of throwing it out there because I just did a top 5 like vintage items to buy under $100 or something, and I was like, let me just do a modern one. So I mean, you're right too. The audience is there as well too. So these people not only can have that incentive, but they'll get the viewers, and that's.
And you'd have 1 million viewers if you said the top 5 modern things guaranteed to triple your money by next Christmas.
Yeah, I know. It's but yeah, that is true. And that's, that really is most markets, like the stock market. You have those, the people and all these kind of groups that pump up are always like the penny stocks, the ones that are the cheapest, and not saying modern is penny stocks, but what I'm saying is that they're just a lot more accessible, a lot more people like having, for some reason, people like having 10 booster boxes of modern versus, a heavy vintage pack. It just feels better, right? It's like, hey, I have 500,000 shares of this penny stock, or I can get one stock of Amazon, one share of Amazon. They're just it's a different kind of mindset. So
yeah. Why have 1 Bitcoin when you can have 100,000 Dogecoin?
yeah, right. Yeah, that is true. There's that mindset, but yeah, I'll have to go down that rabbit hole one day.
It's an interesting exercise. Like I said, you use a different browser than you normally do. Don't be logged in, and just Pokemon investing, and just let the algorithm autoplay.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, well, gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all I have for tonight. I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't look at my watch when we started, but I feel like we've been going for a decent amount of time here.
I think we've set a new record here with this podcast. I think we're about 2 hours.
Okay. That'll take a good chunk of time to upload.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially with my internet, it's like freaking. I live in a major, I live in like the fourth biggest city in America, and I still it takes me like an hour to upload a 10-minute video. It's just
Yeah.
stupid. But,
I live out in the woods and I have DSL, and I don't think mine's as bad as yours.
yeah, we're not gonna. That's a sore subject. So we won't get into that. But yeah, thanks for having me. That was fun, and it's good to have perspective on people who actually buy and sell a lot, and not just do collecting. They do collecting and buying and selling. It's just a completely different mindset,
Mm.
you have to have with it. But yeah, well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
for
really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for inviting yourself on there.
Yeah.
No, it was fun having you. It was a lot of fun being able to finally talk to you, because we've done a lot of emailing back and forth, but I don't think I've ever talked to you.
Yeah, I'll have to invite myself back on in like 6 months. Once we'll see how much PSA stuff has come back and where the market is, and see where it is there. But,
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're welcome.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's stuck around this whole 2-hour marathon session, as we've said in previous podcasts, feel free to comment if you have any suggestions for future podcasts, and feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And we always take questions for future podcasts as well. Or if you have anything else to close, Nick.
No, I'm good. Thanks for watching, everyone. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Yep. Catch you all later.